On today's episode, it's like being trapped in an elevator with the world's most annoying fanboy, except that fanboy also happens to literally be Luke Skywalker. The film is Comic Book, the movie. The actor and director is Mark Hamill, and we're discussing it, unfortunately, today on Nothing Movies. Wish to self-identify, and welcome to Nothing Movies, where we ask the question, the f*** is this? It's the podcast where we go through an actor's filmography and choose 3 of the most anonymous and culturally untalked about movies that they've made, and decide whether or not they've got a certain something, or if it's just a famous actor's vacation slides that he's forcing us to watch.
Yeah. In lieu of actually seeking therapy for his obsessions.
I'm Kaz Lesgard.
And hey, I'm Jameson Rafter.
And today we're continuing our trilogy on the Nothing Movies of Mark Hamill with 2004's Comic Book, the movie.
Yeah.
A movie that asked the question, what if Mark Hamill went to San Diego Comic-Con, refused to acknowledge that he was Mark Hamill, and basically annoyed the fuck out of everybody for 3 days straight. Jameson, this is a movie you own.
It is, yes.
This is a movie you have on DVD. 2 discs.
Yes, yeah.
This is a movie you've paid money for,
absolutely.
one would assume.
2 disc set. Yeah, I had to buy it because this is just not available anywhere. Like, it's not streaming anywhere. It's not free on YouTube. It should be free on YouTube.
It shouldn't be free anywhere. It shouldn't be viewed. It shouldn't be seen by eyes.
Yeah. You think this is the sort of thing how, like, George Lucas bought up all the copies of the Star Wars Holiday Special so they never see the light of day? Mark Hamill should have done the same with Comic Book
No,
the movie?
George Lucas bought up all the copies of Comic Book the movie so it could never be seen. Because they were like, it's all right, Mark, I've been through this before. We'll get through this together. And Mark was all like, no, I want people to see it. This is I put my heart and soul into this. And
this is
like,
my manifesto.
Oh, okay, Mark, that's fine. That's cool. And then he like texted somebody. He's all like, see that it's done. Execute order 7079.
Digging up old wounds here, I see.
Toss it in the land pit where we buried all the E.T. cartridges. Yeah. Stephen and I know where that location is. No one else does.
Yeah, but to give you some backstory on like why I really sought this out. So I want to take you back to a simpler time, to like the early 2000s, where I was still like a young buck in high school. I had ambitions of pursuing screenwriting, and
a simpler time for all. 9/11, the war in Iraq. The George W. Bush presidency.
Oh, those heady days.
Crash winning Best Picture at the Academy Award. I can't think of any other world events.
The Crash winning Best Picture was a world event?
That shook me. I'm still shook.
That was your 9/11. Are we at the point where we can make 9/11 jokes yet? Probably not.
Jameson,
probably never.
Jameson, please, as everyone who listens to this show knows, my 9/11 stars Charlie Sheen and Whoopi Goldberg.
Absolutely, 100%. But yeah, I wanted to be a screenwriter. I was a big fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm, as were a lot of my friends. We were big fans of Kevin Smith films at the time, considering like...
As was I. I love the guy, yeah.
Yeah, because, he was like the guy who out of nowhere went and chased his dream. He maxed out his credit cards. He just figured out how to use a camera, and then he just ran with it and made a career for himself. And, that's how I pursued stuff like my web animations. I just decided I'm going to go and fucking do it. And when I was thinking of getting into screenwriting, I figured, okay, what do I enjoy? I like Curb Your Enthusiasm. I like Christopher Guest movies. That seems like a good avenue to go for it. Let's make a sort of a mockumentary feel to it, but have it very heavily originally scripted. So at that time, I was renting a ton of mockumentaries. I was renting a lot of Kevin Smith movies, and then I just so happened to be scrolling through the aisles of Blockbuster, and I came across this movie.
A mockumentary with Kevin Smith in it.
Two birds with one...
The stars aligned.
Yeah, 2 birds with 1 stone here. And yeah, it was just an absolute piece of shit. But because no one had fucking heard of it, I felt like I had just, wasted an entire evening watching this piece of shit, and then, lo and behold, however many years later, you pitched this podcast idea to me, and it's finally, I can get something out of this. I can share this torture.
I can get my money. I can get my money back. It'll be like a tax rebate.
Exactly.
I put money in now, and now I'm finally getting a return 2 decades later.
I feel like a curse has been lifted.
More accurately, a curse has been transferred onto me.
Yeah, exactly. Your task is to find someone else,
I need to
sucker to
within 10 days. I need to burn my PS3 because it has been. I mean, look, we've watched worse movies together while podcasting.
Yes.
Before. This isn't the worst movie we've ever seen. I was genuinely surprised by how bad it was.
Yeah. Well,
nearly unwatchable.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, but it's also something that when we were looking to, on our old show, to spotlight the weird, the bizarre, and the unloved, I always consider this to be, like, right within that wheelhouse, because just breaking...
It's all three of those things.
I mean, just, like, breaking down the bullet points of this. It's the only film directed by Mark Hamill. The cast is primarily known for voiceover acting and celebrities who are playing themselves. Not even really playing anything. They're just being interviewed.
They were surprised.
Yeah.
They were cornered.
Yeah.
And now this movie's on their IMDb.
Yeah. It is a mostly improvised mockumentary like Best in Show and Spinal Tap. It was shot on location during Comic-Con, and it takes place in that era of Hollywood between Sam Raimi's first two Spider-Man movies, but before Christopher Nolan made his Batman movies.
I think that is why this is the most interesting aspect of this movie is the sense that it does come out at a very interesting time for comic book culture, because yes, this is pre the Nolan Batmans, it's pre Iron Man with John Favreau, so
yeah, that is just a glint in Kevin Feige's eye.
How we view comic book movies now is entirely different from how comic book movies were viewed when Mark Hamill was making this movie, because nowadays comic book movies are just movies.
Yeah.
They are the films that everyone goes to see. It has become the culture, no one is the outlier anymore. The nerds have taken over the world,
100%.
essentially, and we've now become complacent to the point now where we go and we see these things, even if we're not tremendously excited about them, we have to see them because they are the movies. I mean, the number one movie of 2021, Spider-Man No Way Home, which came out right at the tail end of the year, and it continues to make all of the money. I'm not saying it wouldn't have made money without these factors, but a big factor of why it made so much money in its opening weekend alone is that people had to see it so they weren't left in the dark. They weren't spoiled by what was going to happen by it. It's not that we want to see these movies, we have to see them now because we've drunk the Kool-Aid, so to speak.
Yeah, we to be part of the national dialogue, you need to see these movies. Whereas, like, back in, the late 90s, early 2000s, the comic book studios were not in charge of these film productions. You had to, really cross your fingers and hope that the director and everyone involved with it was a fan of the character. I would say that most comic book movies around that time were bad. The good outliers in the early days of comic book films, like the first two Christopher Reeve Superman movies.
We're going that far back.
That
is ground zero really for superhero movies.
And then of course there's the Tim Burton Batman stuff, which
took a decade to come out.
After
Superman. Yeah, there really wasn't anything in between.
Nobody wanted to make movies about these funny books, and then throughout the 90s there was just a lot of crap. I think there was the Dolph Lundgren Punisher, there was the David Hasselhoff Nick Fury shit.
Well, the interesting thing about the 90s run of superhero movies, because it really, there's kind of this dead time in between 1989 when Tim Burton's Batman comes out and then its subsequent sequels come out, so we can count those. But then from 1989 to 1998 with Blade, which really is that's kickstarting. X-Men and Spider-Man came right after, but Blade was really kind of the one that kicked things into gear. It's interesting to look at the lessons Hollywood learned from Tim Burton's Batman. The lesson they learned wasn't that, people like superhero movies, we should keep producing new superhero movies. It was, people like that gothic shit. They like weird sort of noir type shit. Okay, so let's just bankroll a bunch of these, which is why we got The Rocketeer, we got The Shadow with Alec Baldwin, we got The Phantom. It's all people want serialized stuff based on serial dramas from the 30s. That's what people are into. And it took 7 years before the producers could hear the audiences say, no, we don't want this. Why did you think we wanted this?
Or we're sick of it because now it's just an overload. But I think what certainly the movie is saying is the fans of these properties, they're looking at these movies with a very temporary reluctance to it because they know that it's not going to be 100% true to the source material. They're not expecting it to be 100% true to the source material. And at that point, they have a lot of begrudging opinions on comic book movies. There's a point early in the movie where they're discussing the first Spider-Man movie, and one guy says it's the first movie that got it right, and they still got it kind of wrong with an over-reliance on CGI. I think it's a very interesting take to have to have unearthed from the early 2000s to
But
where we are now. Whereas now,
truly
what is that guy going to think about fucking Rocket Raccoon these days?
I mean, like, truly, how could you make a Spider-Man movie without some CGI? That's why it took so long for them to make Spider-Man in the first place. Famously, James Cameron was trying to make Spider-Man for a really long time. The script to that is on the internet. It is boffo bizarre. It is wild. It's one of those great unproduced screenplays, like, speaking of Kevin Smith and Tim Burton, much like the Superman movie that they tried to do, which has that great documentary about how it failed. You know,
and which is like referenced in this movie, which like we'll get into it. But
look, if Kevin Smith's in something, he's bringing up that fucking spider. You know, like, it's like there was a point in between 1999 and, let's be honest, today, where, like, if you get Kevin Smith in a room, there's like an 80% chance he'll bring up that fucking spider story.
Tell him about that time you worked on that Tim Burton Superman movie that never got off the ground.
Do you have any stories about John Peters? Is he a weird fucking guy?
You ever hear of this John Peters fella?
Do you know what I learned about John Peters? So I'm watching Pam and Tommy on Hulu right now.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Actually, really good. I really enjoy it.
I'm kind of taking like a moral high stance because like neither of them signed off on the production of that.
Fair enough, totally. And Pam Anderson wants to have her own documentary on it, and she's totally valid to do it. I think it's great because it really is a show that is about, you know, the body autonomy of Pam Anderson, and it follows a trend of shows and movies that we've been seeing a lot recently, like I, Tonya, or the Britney Spears documentary, and stuff like that, where it's like, here are all these women from this era that we all collectively slut-shamed, and now they're getting, like, these things coming out, and we're all kind of collectively reasoning, oh, fuck, these were people, right? And we were just, like, the worst as, like, a culture towards them. Not perfect, but what made me curious is I don't know much about, like, Pam Anderson's personal life kind of after Tommy Lee. I knew she was married to Kid Rock. I was kind of curious as to what her other marriages were, who she married. Did you know that Pamela Anderson was briefly married to John Peters?
No.
Do you know what year they got married?
I mean, this better fucking dovetail with that Superman movie. I don't know when.
2020.
Oh.
In the midst of the COVID pandemic, Pam Anderson and legendary Hollywood madman John Peters got married and divorced in the same year, and now she's married to someone else. And I didn't see a single news report about that, even though that is fascinating.
Wow.
Now I'm gonna cite my sources to make sure I'm actually right about that.
Okay. Well, while you do that, I'm just gonna like take a quick break about like the comic book movie industry to talk about its director and its main star, Mark Hamill. Now, we brought up his filmography last episode, but we didn't bring up his voice acting credits last episode.
Yes, he was married to John Peters from 2020 to 2020. Sorry about that.
All right, well, you go, girl.
Get it, yeah. Well, hopefully she's happy.
And
Pam, when your documentary comes out, I will watch it, because that's only fair.
Yeah, after seeing the porn so many times.
I've never seen the porn.
Neither
have you seen the porn?
No.
Even I mean, that's like the thing. That's the thing about Pam and Tommy is all like, everyone was seeing this porn. I'm all like, I didn't see the porn.
Well, my parents wouldn't allow me to into this. They forbade me.
Asking your parents probably was your first mistake.
Mom, Dad, can I see? Anyways. So, yeah, when you talk about Mark Hamill's voice acting, I'll get to the Joker, alright? But he has, like, done a shit ton of other voice acting stuff. He started, like, way back in 1972, like, predating Star Wars stuff. He was doing a lot of Hanna-Barbera shit. He would, like, star along in these, like, sort of additional voices stuff. He was in, like, 8 episodes of the new Scooby-Doo movies, which I think were more or less the ones where the Scooby-Doo gang would meet up and partner with, like, celebrities.
Yeah, Don Knotts and
Harlem Globetrotters.
Sonny and Cher, which is something that they're doing currently right now.
Yeah.
They're doing, like, a modern version of that, where he's, like, hanging out with, I don't know, James Corden or someone obnoxious like that. I don't know. But
anyone who will, like, take
anyone who will be in Scooby-Doo, which is a lot of people, I imagine.
Yeah. He was also in Genie, which was the animated spin-off of I Dream of Genie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was his first. That was his first voiceover role.
I believe it was, yeah. And I imagine that he would just be playing, like, the average teen. Like, again, like, additional voices and stuff.
From what I've read on Wikipedia, it's a spin-off really only in name, because it's just Genie, and she has a new owner, a new master, and I believe that's the Mark Hamill character.
Okay.
And, and they're on, instead of, like, being married to Darren McGavin or whatever, they're on the beach and they're getting malts or whatever.
Sure.
Something like
Dancing
that.
at the sock hop,
Yeah.
whatever they were fucking doing
Yeah.
in the 70s. But awesomely, he was in Ralph Bakshi's Wizards in 1977.
Now, I've never seen that.
Oh, it's great. I love Ralph Bakshi shit.
I mean, I love Ralph Bakshi, yeah. Ralph Bakshi, maker of cartoons that are a little more, let's say, culturally relevant than good.
Yeah.
Like, I've watched a lot of his things. I'm all like, I see why this was a big deal for adult animation. Not really enjoying The 9 Lives of Fritz the Cat. But, yeah, I can see why this was important for the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think those Lord of the Rings stuff that he made are, like, visual eyesores.
Those are a trip.
Yeah. But, I mean, hey, people, check him out. You know, like roll a joint, check him out.
It is impossible to watch a Ralph Bakshi movie without getting a little high.
Yeah. Now, I might have the year wrong on this, because it might have been printed wrong on IMDb, and I think it actually came out in the 2000s, but he was in the English dub of Miyazaki's Castle in the Sky.
Yeah, well, the thing with IMDb with those movies is a little weird, is they'll put them out when the movies came out. So, yeah, I believe he probably did the redub, and that probably came out in, like, the 90s or the 2000s.
Okay.
Because those early Miyazaki movies took a while to come to America. I think the first one to get any sort of release was Totoro.
Okay.
And then, after, like, Mononoke and Spirited Away, then
we gotta get his catalog out
Disney was
there.
all like, oh, there's a market for this, we can exploit that. So
Yeah.
then they redubbed a bunch of stuff. But I've definitely seen the version that he's in.
So then the 90s hit, and he started getting like a little bit more animated work. He was in something called Cowboys of Moon Mesa.
I remember that. You don't remember that?
No, TMNT ripoff? Like,
Yeah, man, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, except
with
they're
cows.
cows and they're cowboys.
they're in the Old West, yeah.
Yeah, man. I watched the hell out of that shit.
I had a feeling you would have, because Tim Curry was a recurring character.
Fuck yeah!
Yeah.
I mean, I probably would have watched that anyway, even if he wasn't involved, because I was there for all of the anthropomorphized fucking animal spin-off
Biker
things.
Mice from Mars,
Street Sharks.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
I have like two of the Street Sharks action figures somewhere. Those things were
Nice.
fucking. They were Funko Pop size, like back in the day.
You should hang out with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, because
I should.
No, I'm sorry, Vin Diesel.
Oh.
Vin Diesel is the one who loves the Street Sharks and has been trying to get a Street Sharks movie made for years.
I love how Vin Diesel is like a huge nerd.
He's the biggest dork.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so then he did like a bunch of other stuff like Red Planet, The Little Mermaid animated series, Bonkers, Garfield and Friends. But then in 1994, he hit his big break when he starred as the Joker in Batman, the animated series.
And it changed his career.
Oh yeah, this is when people found out like, holy shit, this guy, that's Mark Hamill. What was your reaction when you first learned that was Luke Skywalker?
Oh god, I don't remember exactly. I don't remember like the exact moment I found out that the Joker was Mark Hamill, but I suppose I thought it was pretty neat. I thought it was pretty cool. I definitely, you view Mark Hamill one way. The thing about Luke Skywalker is that he's a little blank as a character. He's a little bit of a cipher. He doesn't have like a ton of personality to himself. So just that he's doing the complete polar opposite of that type of performance, quite eye-opening.
Well, and because of that, now he is like an icon of pop culture as both like a heroic pop culture icon and a villainous pop culture icon. Look good on him for that.
It cannot be stressed enough that
I was blown away. I just want to say, I was blown away when I first found that out.
Absolutely.
And I realized that, like, holy shit, like, actual voice actors have a shit ton of range that they can just, like, pull out of their pockets like that.
It cannot be stressed enough. I can't speak for everyone in the comic fan community, but I know certainly for myself, when I read a Batman comic, and I'm hearing the voices in my head, Batman sounds like Kevin Conroy, and the Joker sounds like Mark Hamill. Yep. Those two voices are now tied to those characters.
And they're
not just because they're so deeply iconic, but because they've continued to do it for so often. Like, they're still doing it to this day.
Yeah. I mean, like, he carried on, like, the Joker through, like...
He, like, soft retired for a while, but then he came back.
He came back for, like, the Arkham games. Yeah, he brought it back for, like, the Justice League cartoons in the 2000s that I love so much.
I know I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but do you know who was cast as the Joker before they cast Mark Hamill?
Yeah, Tim Curry.
It was Tim Curry. And they did not use it because he was too scary.
Yep.
And that recording does not exist, and boy, would I give anything to hear that shit.
But because of the success of Batman, that's when the floodgates open. And he did, I'm not going to list like the years that he did all this, but he did Phantom 2040, What a Mess, Ren and Stimpy, Pinky and the Brain, Fantastic Four, Hey Arnold, The Tick, Savage Dragon, Spider-Man the Animated Series.
Okay, that one we got to talk about.
What, Savage Dragon?
No, Spider-Man the Animated Series. Because I feel like that is his next kind of like big, reoccurring, iconic villain role. He plays the Hobgoblin in that.
Which is just him doing this Joker.
Yes, it is. And I think that's kind of interesting to point out that he got hired for like another sort of like semi-iconic villain role, and he just recycled the voice that he was doing before.
Yeah.
The laugh is a little bit different. He kind of like pitches it a little bit lower.
Whereas the Joker is like very high register.
But he's just doing this voice. And like, look, that is how fucking iconic Mark Hamill as the Joker is because people can do that now. And anyone who attempts to play the Joker in any medium has to try to not do a Mark Hamill voice. They have to do something wildly different now. And they don't always succeed.
No, I think John DiMaggio, the guy who does Bender, he came the closest to making his Joker a little bit more in tune with himself. Like, he's got like one foot in the Heath Ledger voice because it's very raspy.
Sure, yeah. Kevin Michael Richardson also did a pretty good job on the Batman.
But like going back to Mark Hamill's credits here, he was like in The Incredible Hulk, New Adventures of Johnny Quest, the Blues Brothers animated series, the Men in Black animated series, the Zorro animated series, Totally Spies. He played himself in The Simpsons, Family Guy.
Luke, be a Jedi tonight. Do it for Yoda and we'll serve our guests a soda. Iconic.
Yeah.
Iconic.
Woody Woodpecker, Dexter's Lab, Samurai Jack, Avatar, The Last Airbender, Metalocalypse, Adventure Time.
As Firelord Ozai, the main villain of Avatar, The Last Airbender.
And recently he's like Skeletor and Chucky.
Skeletor and Chucky.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that show, Regular Show?
I've seen clips.
Yeah, he was the voice of the Yeti in that, so like that's a show where he's like a main cast member of that. So his career is so interspersed with just like these one-off random characters, but there were like a few shows that he was like a member of the main cast, and it's always kind of wild to see Mark Hamill included in the main cast.
Yeah,
something.
The other one that I wanted to mention was he was in this claymation show called The Wrong Coast, this animated thing.
I was going to bring that up.
It was a companion piece to that Celebrity Deathmatch show that they did in claymation.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah, I think it might be the same people, but
well, it was Canadian. And we know it because we both had Teletoon growing up, so I definitely watched that. Do you remember the name of the character he plays?
No.
Jameson something or other.
Oh, lovely.
It's
great.
Jameson like Breakwater or whatever. I don't know. But yeah. He's playing you!
He's
playing you!
Yeah.
And you touched on it really briefly, but he's excellent as Skeletor.
Is he?
Teaming up with Kevin Smith yet again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That show kind of had a bit of a disappointing ending, because it really was kind of more of like a mini-series and not really meant to be like TV thing. I think that show really suffered from them breaking it up. Because it was like a 10-episode miniseries, and it probably would have been better if they just released it all in one chunk, because they left like this big months-long break in between, and they left it on a cliffhanger.
Oh, yeah.
So, but of course, I mean, like the thing everyone was...
Is it like confirmed for season 2, or...?
No, I don't think so. It has a pretty definitive ending.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe they're making some more, but if I was Kevin Smith, I would look at the fan belly aching that came about it, and I would just decide this shit ain't worth it.
Yeah.
That's the most recent example of just people not deserving nice things.
Mm-hmm.
But like, he didn't help himself by breaking the show up into 2 parts. Because the main concern is all like, He-Man's not in this. And if they had just like released all 10 episodes, I'm like, no, it's a He-Man cartoon, you fucking babies. It's just from a different point of view.
Yeah.
You know, shows can do that sometimes.
I think we're going to get a lot into entitled fandom when it comes to like talking about this movie.
The concept of this movie, yeah. Well, I mean, this movie is about an entitled fan.
Exactly.
Who thinks he knows the material better than anyone else, better than these bigwig Hollywood types.
Yeah, who can tell filmmakers what they can and cannot do. Interesting, like, so you did mention that you saw, because we have the virtue of the DVD, I asked if you were...
Is that a virtue?
Hey, thank God, because there is no information online about the making of this movie. We had to watch like the behind the scenes shit to like figure out like the production.
Look,
of how
when
this
you
got
say
made.
Behind the scenes, all it is just a slightly longer Comic-Con panel that Mark Hamill himself isn't really in. Because this
no, that's just like a little extra they threw in. There is actually something.
Oh, is there? Okay, that's all I watched.
Okay.
I guess I missed the other thing because I sat through that Comic-Con panel thing And then by the end of it, I'm like, that's all I can take. That's all my brain can take right now.
Right here, second blurb. It was For Color Frenzy, the making of Comic Book the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't understand why that isn't the main feature on the features disc. I don't understand why I have to scroll through shit to find that.
I don't know.
I'm not going to watch that. So why don't you regale us about the making of Comic Book the movie?
All right. So
before we get into it, you wanna take a break?
Yeah, sure.
You want to take a joke break?
What?
It's instead of a smoke break.
Oh.
Because he's the Joker.
Oh, sure.
Sure. All right, great. We'll go do that because I couldn't think of a good pee break.
What did we do last time?
It was like Slipstream, but
well,
that's not the movie we're watching right now. So
wow.
So we're gonna go.
Let's take a Comic Book the movie. And we'll be back. Oh God!
Yeah, I got a real Comic Book the movie brewing inside my fucking colon right now. I gotta take a break. All right. Oh wait, we'll see you in a second. Hi, everyone. As we alluded to last episode, for the foreseeable future, our charity shoutouts are going to be focusing on charities that are supporting the people of Ukraine. Obviously, Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine on February 24th is a horrifying travesty that has led to, as of this recording, over 900 civilian deaths and over 1,000 injuries, with the numbers expecting to grow even more as the conflict rages on. It is a tremendously scary time for the world as other countries wait to see how things will play out when world leaders begin planning how their own countries are going to get involved. It's hard to know at this point how much this conflict will escalate, and one can only hope that it is brought to a swift end and the responsible parties are rightly punished. But in the meantime, most of what any of us can do right now is simply support the organizations providing aid to the displaced and injured citizens of the Ukraine. So this episode, I want to spotlight the RSU, the Revived Soldiers of Ukraine, an organization that has been providing humanitarian and medical help to the Ukraine for many years and are currently sending medical supplies, providing treatment to the injured, and providing other humanitarian services. The RSU is a service that highlights and promotes awareness of human rights, affordable healthcare, and freedom for a basic standard of living. To make a donation to the RSU, go to the link in our show notes or visit rsukraine.org.
Check. We're back.
Check. Czechoslovakia.
Mm-hmm.
Czechoslovakia is not there anymore.
That's good. Did you just come up with that? Or did you?
It's not. It's all off the dome.
That's pretty good.
All off the dome. Just a little improv for
done.
you folks at home.
Well
We're
done.
back. We're back. This is all staying in.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
All right, let's talk about Mark Hamill's only directorial feature. Did you ever watch any Nostalgia Critic?
Oh, I tried not to. I can't stand that guy.
Yeah. So he did this thing back when he had his own website and everything. He had all of these other content creators working for him and everything. There was all of this kind of crossover between the channels and everything, and everyone had their personas and stuff.
Yeah, I hated those crossover ones.
Thank God that trend is over. I absolutely watched the shit out of that.
Yeah.
At the time.
Mm-hmm.
At the time,
all these fucking people you don't know who came out of nowhere and said, "What are you doing reviewing something without me, critic?" Well, what are you doing here? What the fuck? Yeah.
But he had these anniversary movies that lots of things went wrong, and there's lots of fallout from it, and they were not treated like movies, and he failed.
And a lot of
people got hurt on them, and they didn't they tried to cover it up and shit, and that's why his website blew up. And
he cut ties with a lot of content creators after that. Yeah,
exactly.
I remember that.
So he would come out with these fucking 6-hour anniversary movies that he uploaded on his website. Mm-hmm. I'm not proud to admit that I've watched all of them, but there was a period. It was a dark period in my life. I liked it at the time. There was some funny jokes in it. My point is that Comic Book the movie, a movie made by a famous Hollywood actor who has worked with big award-winning directors. Comic Book the movie is one tiny step above those fucking Doug Walker anniversary movies. It is shocking.
Yeah.
How poor quality.
Yeah.
This seemingly feature film truly is.
How half-baked this fucking is. So what happened here, to get into it, is Mark Hamill was like on an airplane ride with some of his voice acting buddies, and they were having a discussions about the industry. I guess he just like came to the conclusion that a lot of these guys are more talented than people give them credit for. They're like masters at their craft, but they deserve more recognition for just like their acting prowesses. So let's do what like countless other people have done before. Let's just like pull up our bootstraps and make a movie ourselves. So we sought out like a legit documentary company called Creative Light, and what they're probably most famous for. I mean, don't look them up. They're defunct.
They don't exist.
They don't exist anymore. Yeah. The only other thing of note they made was like this sit-down interview between William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy called like Discussions with Leonard or something like that. And they're just talking about their experiences on Star Trek. That's it. And he figured these guys are a legit documentary crew. Let's get them to actually function as like our documentary filmmakers as we weave in this bullshit story where Mark Hamill takes on the Hollywood system.
It was a documentary with Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner, and it was called Begrudging Pleasantness.
Yeah, exactly.
It was called Tolerating Bill.
The original intention for this movie was that Mark Hamill was going to be playing this disillusioned filmmaker who was tagging along as part of a production assistant or like the behind-the-scenes guy when Hollywood came a-knocking and decided they were going to make a movie adaptation of this one comic book character. He's like an entitled filmmaker, and throughout the course of him going to Comic-Con for field research or whatever the fuck, he learned to appreciate fandom.
Wow, they changed the screenplay so much. Well, it's like a completely different movie now.
Well, in his own words, he wanted to change it because he felt that it was coming out of a place of cynicism when he wanted it to come out of a place of joy. So his character was changed from an entitled filmmaker to that of Don Swan, who was this history professor / independent comic book store owner who I guess is the torchbearer of this comic book character, Commander Courage, and Hollywood said, hey, do you want to be a technical advisor on our project?
Look, we're going to spend some time shitting on this terrible, terrible movie, but the one thing I will say up front, just to lay the groundwork, is from watching this movie and watching some of the behind-the-scenes features, it does appear that Mark Hamill, above all, is an incredibly earnest person.
He's very genuine in his love for fandom and for what people do, and for having some
almost to a fault. One might say
very much to a fault.
Yes,
he very much wears his love of the sci-fi genre on his sleeve. To the point where like you can easily see him being a bit much.
Mm.
And
this movie is basically being trapped with that version of that person for a while. He's playing a character, but you do get the sense that the character he's playing is not that far away from Mark Hamill, the actual person.
Yeah, not much of a stretch.
No.
It's like if you've ever been at a party and someone says, "Hey, have you ever played this game? Have you ever seen this show?" and you answer no.
And then they continue to talk about it.
Oh, dude, look, it's this amazing. Let me tell you about it. I was once...
And then 10 minutes later, you're like, so this is your whole personality, huh?
Yeah. I was once sitting at a bar, and I overheard two people talk about Rick and Morty. This was like around maybe like the second year that the show had been out. And I was just like overhearing the conversation. And the one guy who was pitching the show to the other person who had never seen it was that he started with the Council of Ricks. Like the very heady concept of like the multiverse of Ricks coming together to make their own fucking citadel.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's like, that is not a good jumping off point. And I just felt for the poor bastard who had to like, can we please change the subject?
Did you get the feeling that this was the sort of person who would throw a chair through a window when he didn't get Szechuan sauce at his McDonald's?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about the Don Swan character of Mark Hamill, is that he is extolling the virtues of having something that you are so passionate about as like, no, you are validated in that love of something. Whereas, let's flash forward 20 years from now, and now the love that you have for these properties is now replacing an actual personality.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I mean, this is the problem with modern day fandom as well, too. Yes, you are validated and entitled to your love of things, but be like a fully formed person. Like, do other stuff, have other interests.
Be well-rounded about this sort of shit, you know?
Yeah, so Comic Book the Movie, directed by Mark Hamill. That is the full title.
Yeah. as emblazoned on the logo at the start of the movie.
I have never seen a logo logo, I mean, the only thing that comes kind of close to that is, like, John Carpenter's Escape from New York, or something, because he had, like, that thing for a while where his name would go above the title.
Didn't Spielberg do that with the animated shit he made? Like,
Steven Spielberg Presents? Yeah, but, like, that's a little bit different for, like, Animaniacs to, like, a movie. No, but there's, like, a logo, and then inside the logo, there's tiny little letters that said directed by Mark Hamill, just so you know.
Yeah.
He really wants you to know that he's behind this.
Yeah.
And it is a mockumentary, so that means it was, like, majority? What's the word I'm thinking of here?
Majoritively.
Majoritively. That doesn't sound right.
It really doesn't, you know.
No. That's one of those words that's true, but, like, you say it's like, that's not right. Like, macchiato. It's like, that's a fake word.
It was majorly, I don't know.
It was mostly improv, but the writing credits for this movie do fall to Mark Hamill and also Billy West. Billy West has the other credit, the writing credit on this movie.
Well, I think it's similar to what they do in things like Final Tap or Curb Your Enthusiasm, where there is a very loose framework for what your character wants in this scene. Here are some things we want them to at least mention or drop, and here's what they need to get to by the end of this scene. So that, I think, is what goes into, like, writing for a mockumentary. But after that, it's just up to the actors, and you have to really cross your fingers and hope that these actors are good at improvising.
Yeah. I do find, like, that credit stuff interesting on mockumentaries, because it's obviously people are coming up with stuff, but you can't have 10 people on the writing credits for a movie, so that's why you get, like, Waiting for Guffman, I believe the credited writers are just Christopher Guest and Eugene Levy, even though I'm sure everyone else was coming up with plot stuff at the same time, too. So there must be, like, some sort of, like, legal things behind that, like, you can only have, like, so many screenwriters on, like, a certain movie.
Exactly, yeah. Because you're really just, like, leaving it up to the actors to, like, inform their own character with these decisions.
Mark Hamill was leaving things up to his actors. For sure.
Yeah, for good and ill, because not every one of them has that honed improv ability, and the characters that he gives them are not really tailored specifically to their talents.
Yes. Look,
not for everyone.
No, look, I'm sure a lot of people in the voiceover industry do have an improv background, much like most of them probably have, like, stand-up comedy background or whatnot. Most of them probably do. Not all of them. Like, some of them are just actors who got into, like, this thing and, like, are, like, working in this different medium. That doesn't necessarily mean you can throw them in a situation and they'll just, like, succeed.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, like, really evident to, like, a lot of these guys. Like, whoever plays, like, the suit that tags along with them.
Roger Rose, better known as the guy who does Johnny Bravo.
That's not Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo is...
Well, he was in Johnny Bravo.
He was in Johnny Bravo.
Yeah.
What's the name of the guy who does Johnny Bravo?
Oh,
Jeff Bergman.
Okay.
Jeff
Okay.
I don't know. I got my phone out.
All right.
But I know, because I looked through him, and I recognized a lot of the other voiceover talent in this.
Yeah.
He's the only one I don't recognize, and then I went through his IMDb. He's a voice actor, but he doesn't have, like, the one role. He's not, he doesn't have, like, an iconic role. Jeff Bennett
does
that's the guy, Johnny Bravo.
Right.
Because if you watch that documentary, Hey, I Know That Voice, which is a fantastic documentary, watch that instead of this.
Please.
If you feel compelled to watch Comic Book the Movie, just watch that documentary instead.
Please.
You get everything that's in this movie out of that documentary, and it's also good and interesting.
So Hollywood comes a knocking because they're making an adaptation of this old World War II era superhero named Commander Courage.
Obviously based on Captain America. It's got the same iconography, except he's in a brown suit instead of a blue one.
And he's got, like, a green cape, whereas Cap has no cape.
Yes.
Whatever. And Don Swan is, I guess, the #1 super fan, and Hollywood decides, okay, well, let's just get him as, like, a creative consultant, rather than, like, I don't know, whoever owns the fucking publishing rights of Commander Courage. We'll bring on Don Swan as, like, sort of like a throw a bone to the fans, because we just want their money, because we're a greedy, soulless movie production company, and Mark Hamill has an axe to grind.
You bring up an interesting point. I don't think the characters in this movie ever acknowledge who currently owns the rights to Commander Courage. We know who knows the film rights, because those are characters, and then later on they bring in the Billy West character, who by the end of the movie now has the rights to the thing. But who has them now?
Yeah.
They're not in the movie. We don't know them.
Good question.
Yes.
Because that's not the story.
You would think that those would be important characters to include in this story.
If they're optioning a movie, I just assume they already have the fucking rights.
Yes.
And so, okay, they bring in Don Swan as, like, a consultant, and I'm sure this is something that no movie production company has done. They're gonna get a documentary crew to tag along with him and document his experience and his journey of, like, going to Comic-Con and shit. That's the justification of why there's a camera crew in this movie.
A camera crew that consists of one guy who is always visible and about 3 other cameras that are always just out of frame, but are seemingly filming everything.
Yes. Yeah, the ever-present, but only like there's one central camera guy that we're following around. Ricky, who is played by Jess Harnell, a.k.a. the voice of Wacko Warner.
Who is occasionally charming, mostly grating.
Yeah.
It does kind of get old. Yeah. He has some moments, and he's trying. He's trying the most, probably, out of anyone in this.
He's the most broad character because he's like the laid-back, lovable slacker type. Like, how's it going, dude?
Which, looking at documentary footage of Jess Harnell, also just seems like his personality. Yeah. Just seems like that's who he is in real life. He's in like a hard rock band or something.
He looks it.
He's got like a cover band or something.
Sure.
That's something that I know.
Yeah.
What else has Jess Harnell done? I know he's Wacko. He is he's the voice of Captain Hero in Drawn Together. He's Ironhide in Transformers. And he's Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so stuff.
Yep. Yeah. I'm sure they've all done stuff.
They've all done roles.
Yes. So Don Swan gets there and he finds that Hollywood is looking to revamp Commander Courage for the new millennium, where he is going to go by codename Courage, where instead of him being like this pulpy superhero, he's now like a special ops, hyper-violent character. They get rid of his like young ward boy sidekick. They pair him up with like a sexy lady in a Black Widow outfit or what have you, and
more like a stripperella outfit.
Sure,
probably. Remember that show?
Yeah, with Pam Anderson.
Yeah, you know it's all circular, and Stan Lee, who's in this movie.
Yes, he is. Yeah, and Don Swan won't have it. This is a betrayal of the character. This is not what will play well to the audience, and the Hollywood people don't know what they're doing. But hopefully, by sticking around with them, he can he can turn them onto to his opinion. They can come around to his understanding of the character. He's fighting an uphill battle, I'd say.
The movie makes a point of referencing the fact, because this is 2003 when this movie was shot. Obviously, the terrorist attacks in 2001 are still on everyone's mind currently right now, so the whole revamp of Commander Courage is sort of an answer to this patriotic, jingoistic vibe that America was on at the time, anti-Islamic attitudes that everyone had, and so the movie...
Well, I didn't.
The movie... Oh, okay. I don't think anyone was accusing you, Jameson, but now, for the record, everyone can say that you are a good person. Thank you for virtually signaling on our podcast. That's what we have it for. Yeah, but, Captain America, to use an example, has gone through multiple iterations, as have most superheroes at some point. Yeah. They've all done redesigns. They've all had the gritty 90s type thing.
They all had, the wartime propaganda use, yeah.
I mean, most comic book characters had their starts in wartime propaganda. Yeah. I mean, also Commander Courage. That's also a point that the movie is trying to make, that very often these superheroes come out of wartime propaganda and are sort of being held up as support the troops, you know?
And whatever's righteous about America.
Sure.
And the goodness of all people. Yeah, that kind of shit.
And living in 2022, we somewhat have a somewhat cynical view now. I know certainly I have a somewhat cynical view of, patriotism and whatnot, because, hasn't really gotten us anywhere, It's kind of make things a little bit worse. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. But
so he goes so far as he ropes in his buddy. I didn't write down his name, but it's Tom Kenny.
Tom Kenny.
He co-owns the comic book store with him, and he just tags along with him to Comic-Con.
He's got a little subplot where he brings his family along, and his family doesn't want to be there.
Literally drags his son to all these panels, which I think was kind of a cute little wink to what comic book conventions would be like, but they didn't go too far in that direction because Mark Hamill wants to rail against the Hollywood system.
He has so many other characters he needs to get to.
Yeah.
So many friends need to have cameos.
But Tom Kenny and Mark Hamill commissioned this...
And his wife is someone, too. Hold on.
He commissions this suit of the, an accurate recreation of the Commander Courage outfit. They're going to hire, a local actor to walk the convention floor to, draw attention for Commander Courage, to just show to the Hollywood people that no, people want to see the OG Commander Courage kind of guy. And I don't know why the movie people don't fire him anyways.
Tom Kenny's wife is played by Jill Talley, who is also a voice actress. She's in SpongeBob SquarePants, she's in The Boondocks, she's in The Loud House. These are voiceover people. These are voiceover people. This is who they are.
And they deserve to be more famous than they are,
yes,
so says Mark Hamill.
But not in this movie.
No, this is not the right vehicle to show off their talents.
Right.
And also, actually, no, might be a little mean-spirited, but a lot of people who are, like, very famous as voiceover people, like, incredibly talented, a lot of them are a little goofy-looking. They look like cartoon characters themselves. They're not so much, like, leading camera-ready types. Is that fair to say?
Well, yeah, some of them. Some of them are shockingly handsome, much like, what's his name? Darren Norris.
Yes!
The actor who plays Bruce Easley, the actor they hired to play Commander Courage. He's got, like, this deep sort of, like, announcer voice.
The golden voice, this guy.
The golden voice. He's probably best known for being in The Fairly Odd Parents as Cosmo and Timmy's dad. But he's got one of these voices. Hello, how are you? That probably sounds like garbage compared to this guy.
He was Spotswood in Team America.
That's right.
Yeah, he's great in this movie.
He's honestly my favorite performance in this movie. It goes him, the kid, and no one else.
Maybe
Jess Arnell, but that's like a distant bronze.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Darren Norris is actually very good, and he's pretty funny. He's just kind of like the actor who's like desperate for a job, and he'll do whatever you put him in any costume, and he'll vibe with it. He's pretty funny. He's pretty funny, and he's a good improviser. He actually listens to people who are talking to him,
and because like he'll dip back and forth between like expressing his actor concerns, that desperation, and then jumping into the heroic Commander Courage on the fly. It's funny to watch, especially when people are like bickering around him because he's just a distraction.
He's supposed to be anyway. Yes.
Who are you?
He's supposed to be. I am Commander Courage. What? Commander Courage, defender of all. Yes. My movie will be coming out. You'll be there.
I'll be there.
And I'll be in it.
Yeah, he'll be in it.
You talk about how certain voiceover actors look a certain way. The big revelation that I came away from while watching this movie is that Billy West, in real life, looks like if you took Quentin Tarantino and just squished him down into travel size. And it's really distracting once you notice it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they were doppelgangers, but they're very similar in facial structure.
I never realized how much Billy West's natural speaking voice sounds like Fry. Like, that's just... Yeah, I never realized that.
Well, you know, whenever you get an actor who's playing kind of like an everyman type character, that's how they sound in real life. Dan Castellaneta, who's not in this movie, does all of these voices for The Simpsons. You listen to him talk in like interviews and stuff like that. The character he sounds like is the PTA is disbanded! Like, just like the random guy that sometimes is in The Simpsons.
Right, yeah.
Like the guy who has like one line or whatever. That's just what his voice sounds like. So they all have basic speaking voices.
Exactly, yeah. Billy West plays Leo, who is the only living descendant of the original creator of Commander Courage. And he is a very, like, removed from, like, the whole fandom comic book culture. Never grew up with it, never had any kind of appreciation for it, never really knew his grandfather or whatever. And I guess Mark Hamill's character finds him and just invites him to tag along, and he's too polite to say no to something like this.
The idea of this character is really funny because he works in like sheet metal, and he's not like an entertainment person. He barely realizes that his grandfather wrote this comic book and everything. He appears to not watch movies or know what pop culture is, and that's a funny idea.
In something like this, yes.
Talk about Christopher Guest. This character would be played by Eugene Levy. He would come in, he would be the square, but he would have a personality.
Yeah.
And he would have, like, his own thing. The sad thing is that Billy West doesn't have a character to play.
Yeah.
He's just a blank slate. Mark Hamill has given him nothing to work with. And as such, he's just such a nothing character, and really, he doesn't leave any sort of impression on the movie or the audience.
And considering that he's one of, like, the co-writer, co-creators of this, you think they'd give him a little something to do. But I think anytime any one of these characters are sharing screen time with Mark Hamill...
Mark Hamill's the focus.
He's doing the driving in most of this, and people are just, like, trying to keep up, trying to steer stuff, and he's just literally walking along a convention floor going like, oh, look at that cool costume! Oh my god, it's so-and-so! Oh my god, it's Ron Perlman!
Let's force Ron Perlman to be in our movie for like 2 minutes.
Oh god, that, like, you know what must have happened? They had no idea that Ron Perlman was going to be there, and someone went up to him and said, like, hey, Mark Hamill's directing this movie, and he wants you to be in it. He was probably like, okay, yeah, tell his people to get in touch with my people. No, right now.
No, right now.
Yeah.
No, we're filming currently, right now. Yeah.
Oh.
Ron Perlman, if you look at him in interviews, he kind of has like a face that's sort of like resting. He sometimes kind of like looks like someone else in the room has just cut like a really big fart, and he's trying to be like polite about it. So like that's kind of his expression throughout being forced to be in this movie. Ron Perlman, we should also point out, also a very talented voice actor.
Yes.
But it's almost like a.
Oh, I mean, it's Ron.
It's an accident that he's in there because he is at Comic-Con to promote Hellboy, which hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
I believe it's about to come out like the next year, or came out the year of this movie or whatever. But he's just trying to do
promo
work. He's just trying. He's working currently right now.
I think his only line is like, "Oh, hey, there's Mike Mignola.
There's Mike Mignola. Do you want to go bother him? Go bother him for a while.
Hey, look over there," and then like to turn around and he's like booking at the end.
And then there's a couple of other people he kind of like ambushes to be in the movie. He gets animation legend Ray Harryhausen to do like 2 lines for like a second. Poor guy doesn't even know what's going on. He has no like. If you told any of these people they were in Comic Book the movie, they'd be like, No, I don't. No, it wasn't. Fuck off. I'm not in that.
Some are better than others. Some are better gets than others.
Sure.
But I think they mentioned this in disc 2 of the special features of this, when they interview guys like Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, like the famous guys who made like the Batman animated series and all those awesome DC shows. What they said to them basically was talk about like the subject of like the history of animation for superheroes,
Bob Kane, Bill Finger, Schuster and Siegel. I don't know. I'm just pulling names out of a hat now.
When they're talking about Jack Kirby or like the history of the Super Friends or like anything like that, they say just talk about that, but substitute famous characters for Commander Courage.
Commander Courage and Don Swan and everything. That's all this movie is like, again, ambushing famous people within this industry, a lot of whom aren't actors, and it's like, get people to talk about this thing that clearly doesn't exist, but talk about it like it is a thing that exists and that you're into it or whatnot. They get Hugh Hefner!
Yeah.
What's the connection there? He's not into comic books, he's not into movies or anything like that. They just have like a brief moment. Mark Hamill must have just been to the Playboy Mansion a couple of times, and it's just all like, I got Hef on speed dial, let's annoy him for an afternoon.
They mentioned that like he originally wanted to be a cartoonist, and like, he broke down taboos, which was important to do in the 50s, when comic books had to be strictly adhering to like the comic book code of not corrupting youth or whatever.
That's the super sweaty reason they go to talk to Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, that's the
like
reason why they wanted to go to the Playboy Mansion.
Sure, there's no other reason, I'm certain.
I gotta say, like, for a movie that has Hugh Hefner in it, he's not the most problematic cameo.
Okay. We gotta talk about Kevin. We need to talk about Kevin. I did not plan that joke. I am as amazed as you are that was as organic as it was. I will never do better than that.
Thank God we had this recorded. All right. I greatly admire Kevin Smith for what he did. He inspired me to pursue all of my like film animation projects, just to do it myself, figure out how to do it. Like, he'll always have like a place in my heart for that kind of shit. We have to remember that this is the guy who also wrote the dialogue for Brody and Chasing Amy, all the lines for Jay, but just like the wrong stuff that Randall says in Clerks.
Yes, his movies, which I like. I am a fan of.
Me too. You met him.
Kevin Smith remains the best celebrity encounter I have ever had. I was just out for a drive with my sister. We were leaving one bar. We were going to another place. I looked over. Kevin Smith was on the street next to us. I recognized him because he looked like Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
He's a hard guy not to miss. This was pre-heart attack, so it was like classic.
Very hard not to miss.
Classic fat Kevin Smith.
Yeah. I still want to get like my 10-year anniversary of Clerks signed by him at one point. So.
And I hopped out of the car, and we were like at a traffic light, but I'm all like, I have to go talk to Kevin Smith. My sister's like, yeah, fine. And I ran over. I tried not to be crazy, and he was the biggest sweetheart. He gave me a hug. He said, do you want a picture? I didn't ask him for a picture. He found the right lighting for it, and then I let him get on with his night. And it was lovely. It was a lovely little celebrity encounter. But yes, there is a history in his films of problematic gay jokes. Kevin Smith has had a history with the gay community. Like, one of his best friends is that guy who did that documentary on like the gay small town gay bar, who later went on to direct the Kevin Smith documentary, The Clerk documentary, that people said was a loving tribute, but also kind of superfluous, given that Kevin Smith is a person who constantly talks about his life in extreme detail, and we've heard all these stories.
Very verbose. He spins a good yarn. He
spins an excellent yarn. But in 2004. Kevin Smith had a lot of fucking growing up to do.
Yeah.
Because there are some not great gay jokes that he drops, and then there is a wildly tone-deaf joke about a transgender prostitute that I won't repeat here because it's bad, but I was very disappointed with Kevin Smith in this movie.
Very much so.
And I'm disappointed that Mark Hamill left this in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed with everyone involved.
Yes.
Because these are people, they're not playing characters at this point. Kevin Smith is playing Kevin Smith in this movie, so it gives the impression that this is Kevin Smith's point of view on this.
Yeah, this is not him minding his P's and Q's at like a panel or in an interview or a press junket.
He signed off on this. He said, put this in the movie. This is good.
This is him shooting the shit with his friends when he, like, before he got married, like Clerks was still, like, not even 10 years behind him at this point.
And he had a friendship with Mark Hamill because Mark Hamill was the cock knocker.
Of course, yeah, bring that back. But yeah, Kevin Smith, very disappointed in Kevin Smith in this movie.
Not great. Look, I can only assume that he has grown in this time and he does not share these views, and he certainly does. If he made a movie, Clerks 3 or whatever, who knows? Who knows? I'm curious to see what Clerks 3 is going to turn out to be, because Clerks have been the two movies where he includes a lot of his inflammatory, kind of like poking the hornet's nest dialogue. So it'll be interesting to see. I imagine the character of Randall will have some opinions on cancel culture and Me Too and whatnot. That will be a little incendiary. It'll be a little hashtag problematic.
I mean, if it's anything like the later of Kevin Smith's work, I can't wait. Yeah.
Jane Silent Bob reboot was pretty tough to sit through, I'm not gonna lie.
One thing that you mentioned where you're disappointed in Mark Hamill for like leaving this in the movie. This movie needs some fucking editors. This movie is nearly 2 hours long.
Was it that long?
1 hour and 46 minutes.
Good Lord, I never looked at the runtime, but I assumed it had to have been an hour 15. How can you stretch this out to almost 2 hours of this nonsense?
There's 30 minutes of like fucking material here for a story, and then the rest is, to borrow a term from Red Letter Media, this is shoot the rodeo. What that term came to mean was that there is this really shitty B movie that they were watching that was like running short.
Stock footage is what you mean.
Yeah, by sheer circumstance, there was a rodeo in town the day that they were filming, so they just brought a camera crew to the rodeo and they just filmed people at the rodeo because it added like instant production value. This movie is it is a mockumentary, but it also dovetails into an actual documentary because they're just on the convention floor of San Diego Comic-Con getting footage of randos.
There must have been an editor because they must have constantly had to cut around the number of takes where they're in the middle of a scene and then someone came in the middle of the scene that didn't realize they were filming something and went, oh my god, it's Mark Hamill. Yeah. This is the main problem with this movie, Mark, is that you are a very, very famous person that everyone knows what they look like.
Yeah.
So you can't
Especially in a place like Comic-Con.
Yes. That's why when Bryan Cranston went to Comic-Con, he put on a mask of himself and he could walk around and no one bothered him. But you put glasses on and you dyed your hair a different color. Yeah. You're still Mark Hamill. You're still very noticeably Luke Skywalker.
And you can see people like in the background kind of like waiting back for them to stop filming so they can go and approach Mark Hamill and Billy West and all these fucking like beloved icons of like the nerd subgenres and shit. There are cases where like they have these guys on camera where they just have, hey, when we start rolling, can you say I love Captain Courage? Like, who the fuck is Captain Courage? Just say it. Like, okay, I love Captain Courage. Woo! Horse shit like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably the best one is when they like rope in like Matt Groening.
Right, yeah.
Where he says like, oh, I...
And they must have prompted him a little bit because he has to like talk about Commander Courage in like great detail and talk about like the history. And like these people know the created character, the guy who, what is this, Jackson Whitney, the creator of Commander Courage. Like they have like background on it. So like Mark Hamill must have like prepped them slightly. Yeah. Because to know the things that they know, it wasn't just all like, here are like the basics of it, now just bullshit your way through it.
Just like talk about like any kind of creator you admire or like something interesting you know about him. Just like swap out these names. I just wanted to bring up the Matt Groening stuff because he had like probably the best visual gag that was 100% the sort of thing that Matt Groening would do. He said like, oh yeah, I'm not really looking forward to the Commander Courage. I wouldn't want to be associated with a shoddy product. As a dude walks behind him with like Simpson Pop-Tarts and shit.
Yeah, that was kind of like the only visual joke that they like planned out ahead of time. It was like a bunch of Simpsons merchandise that like Matt Groening was like signing as like the scene was going on. Yeah. Let's speak about the concept of being kind of disappointed in people that you look up to. So the only behind-the-scenes footage that I watched, because you left the DVD with me, and I watched the second footage. I didn't watch the thing, I guess, that you wanted me to watch. I watched... They include, like, a panel that is all the voice actors in the movie, including a couple that aren't in the movie. Like, Rob Paulson and Maurice LaMarche are there on the panel.
Yep.
They're not in the movie. And then there are voice actors in the movie that aren't on this panel. Like, Kevin Michael Richardson shows up at one point, and he's not on the bit. You'd think they'd include him. So it's weird. I don't really know what was going on. But this is a panel where they're, like, in a hall in Comic-Con or whatever. Mark Hamill comes on, says a little something. You find out as the thing is going on that while this panel is happening and people are asking questions from all these voiceover actors, during this time, Mark Hamill is actively filming the movie. He's running around and getting footage because Lori Allen, who's a voiceover actor who plays like the business lady or whatever, she's in the panel at the beginning, but then disappears throughout the movie because Mark is all like, okay, we're shooting that scene now. Yeah. This must have been so chaotic.
Funny, interesting thing. Well,
how funny? How interesting? On a scale of 1 to 10. Just say it. I'm sorry.
So 0 on the 1 to 10 scale.
Ooh,
here.
A goose egg.
Yeah.
Okay.
When they were seeking a permission from the Comic-Con people, can we film on location here? We're not having any lights. It's going to be like a scant camera crew. They were like, okay, that sounds like a logistical nightmare, but like go ahead. Our only conditions are like don't break anything. Don't make fun of any of the convention goers. They just let people carry a camera crew and do whatever the fuck they wanted there. But yes, it had to have been just a logistical nightmare to get it done.
Yeah, there wasn't a shot list. There weren't like what are those called? The photos of the drawings of the...
Storyboard.
Storyboard, thank you. Yeah. I'm a movie lover. It's like my entire identity. I can't remember what storyboard is called.
No, it's just they brought a fucking camera crew with them to Comic-Con, and then they just shot whatever. Nothing is really informing a story that they're trying to tell. At least not in every fucking shot. Some of them are just like scenes that are reused a couple of fucking times. Like Lori Allen, who is like this stressed out movie producer, she is like lost in the sea of nerds, and she's stressed out. She's like, I can't find where you guys are. What's happening? Like, oh god, there's a crazy guy in a costume, and they do that like fucking 8 times.
She's doing the thing that you just mentioned they didn't want her to do. She's going around and she's passing judgment on people, but she's the bad guy. Yeah. So she can do that. But speaking about this behind the scenes footage thing, this Comic-Con panel thing, the vibe that you very quickly get is that this is very much a boys' club, and it as it goes on, it just made me feel kind of gross, because like everyone's joking, everyone is like doing this air of like we're all having fun, we're all like doing voices and everything, but you notice like very on it's a very thin pool of people to work with. It's basically just all white men on the stage, and I imagine that in 2004 things have gotten a lot better, and now there's a lot more diversity within the voiceover community. But like at the time, you know, like I said, they didn't invite Kevin Michael Richards. Maybe he was busy, maybe he couldn't have been there, you know, like I don't know. I'm just like assuming at this point. But they only have like the Lori Allen, they only have the one woman, and when she's on stage, almost everyone makes some sort of, you know, like hubba hubba, like woo, like, you know, like the wolf with the heart pounding out of his chest. And then when she leaves, they do even more jokes at her expense. And then they get like that other woman who's just sitting in the audience, who also happens to be like a voiceover actor. They like drag her on stage at one point, and then she's all like, that's okay, I don't really want to be a part of this. But they have to comment on her appearance as well too. And it's just like, maybe everyone in 2004 had some fucking growing up to do, you know?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's just kind of like,
you're right.
And this ties into the fact that this unfortunately is a Miramax release. So there's like a whole bunch of like kind of like gross, icky shit going on at the time with this, you know?
Yeah, that was just allowed to happen. Yeah, no, you're right. That is incredibly problematic.
And I can only assume that they have kept their pulse on society, and they've seen what's been happening, and they've realized, oh, okay, I shouldn't make these jokes anymore. I shouldn't do this. And I don't want to come off like a prude or anything, you know. Like I enjoy a good laugh as much as the next person.
No, that's
but like
that's not out of line to say. Like, no, you shouldn't be fucking misogynistic. Period.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, no,
I don't know. That was just an observation I made. Was all like, oh, this is very clearly the boys' club and no girls allowed.
Yeah, I mean that is not the special feature I wanted you to watch.
Right.
If you want to watch this again, I need to.
I don't want to put this in my DVD player.
Sure you don't want to keep
no,
this?
You take this home with you.
I need it.
You take this out of my apartment.
I need it for the screenshots,
please.
Yeah. So like going back to the fucking story here, Don Swan is like sort of like half taking over the production, or he's at least derailing it to the part, because he corners Bruce Campbell, who I guess was slated to star as Codename Courage.
Well, he has an interview with Bruce Campbell.
Yeah,
This is the only thing that doesn't feel like he cornered someone, because they're sitting in chairs and he's doing like a proper interview thing. Bruce Campbell comes off pretty well.
Very well,
movie. Yeah.
Which is funny because, like, he's one of the wittiest fucking guys in show business.
I cannot believe this is the first Bruce Campbell movie you and I have ever covered.
Weird, right?
We have to rectify that fairly soon.
Yeah, quickly. But he's also, like, very toned down. I've seen video of him, like, on panels and hosting Q&As, and he seems like a guy who just loves his level of fame and, like, playing to the crowd. And he's, like, very toned down and natural in this. They gave him one funny bit where, like, Don Swan mentions that, and here's the mask they want you to wear as Codename Courage, which is like this full-on, like, ski mask with goggles things that he's got to put on. He's like, no, I'm not wearing that. No, that's gonna block my face. No, I'm not wearing that. I want to wear that.
This is the moneymaker.
This is the moneymaker, yeah. And so, okay, like, there's the angle. There's the caricature of Bruce Campbell that we want to play for this movie. But no, he just wants to wear, like, the Captain America helmet.
I mean, like, you feel like Bruce, if ever there was a character, like a personality or an ego, who is going to, like, make fun of the Don Swan characters, like, get this cheesehead out of here, or something like that. It would be Bruce Campbell. Mm-hmm. It would be easy for him to slip into that personality. But no, he's just a pleasant man who is tolerating this Mark Hamill very well.
Yeah, it's the Bruce Campbell that Mark Hamill knows, and he wants the people to see him as well.
Right.
Yeah, they're probably not doing great for his image as, like, a beloved egomaniac. But anyways, now, like, he's, like, contacting the Hollywood people, and they say, like, oh, we're... Like, Don Swan's like, he's changing Bruce Campbell's mind. This is a disaster. Like, we gotta get rid of this.
They go to this party.
Yeah.
They go to this Hollywood party in the hills, or, a San Diego party.
Sure, yeah.
They're in Comic-Con. And he gets a copy of the script from Kevin Michael Richardson, who plays Ice Tray. Yeah. You'd think that would be fun, but we don't give Kevin Michael Richardson anything to do. Mm-hmm. Kevin Michael Richardson has been on camera before. Yeah. Like, he's a good actor. He does both worlds. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I don't know.
He's not a character in this.
No, not really. No, he just shows up and just gives Mark Hamill
I have a copy of the script.
That's his entire role. And then Don Swan gets disillusioned because he sits down at the party and he reads the Codename Courage script. He's all like, oh, this is all wrong. Oh, they have him shooting stuff. And it's like, this has been the central conflict of the movie from the beginning. Mm-hmm. Why is this new information? You already know that they're doing a movie that you're not going to enjoy, Don Swan. Why are you now suddenly like, oh, I gotta do something. Oh, I'm not having fun. Oh, it's like, what do you mean? Why is this new information?
Because he expresses displeasure at the direction of where the movie's going in his first meeting with the producers, and then he spends, like, the next couple of days dicking around at Comic-Con. Does he think in that time, by just, like,
showing them the error of their ways, and they're gonna, like, immediately rewrite the script in that time? Yeah, because he's a charming dum-dum, and he has...
I wouldn't say charming. He's a grating dum-dum.
He is. It cannot be overstated how irritating Mark Hamill is in this movie.
You know who's not a grating, irritating character in this party scene? Jim Cummings as the most interesting guy at the party.
That they don't spend enough time on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's retranslating the Code of Hammurabi from the ancient Persian to the ancient Greek to the ancient Roman to the ancient Gaelic right to English. He wants to know and know.
He's introduced talking about absinthe.
Yeah.
And no one gets it. And then it's just Jim
spin stuff about poetry. Yeah. Everyone's, like, crowded around this guy as he's holding court.
Like, this party has the most interesting characters, and Mark Hamill does nothing with them. Like, I want to see an entire movie. Like, if you want to honor these people, Mark Hamill, show me an entire movie where Jim Cummings plays a drunken university professor or whatever.
As he's trying to match wits with the idiot that Jess Harnell is playing.
Yeah.
You know you're there when you've seen the Green Fairy.
What is the Green Fairy, the Hulk? Dude, I'm way into the Hulk. Is that him?
Give me strength. No.
I'm curious, because if drinking that would get me hooked up with the Hulk, I'd be into
that. That is when you know that you are in touch with your inner brain stem.
When the Hulk is hanging.
That is when you know that you were in the place occupied by Poe.
And Bill Bixby.
You know, more shit like that. There is opportunities for, like, some characters in this, if you wanted to go very broad, because there's the newcomer to the fandom community in Billy West's character. There's the high-strung producers who want nothing to do with it and want to stick to a bottom line. Can
I just say, the producers, they should not be as much of a character as they are in this movie. Yeah. They should be characters, but they shouldn't be, like, we shouldn't be constantly coming back to Laurie Allen and the other guy. Like,
They're
not interesting.
No, and they're like weirdly hands-on for like movie producers. They're not going to send like runners or interns to monitor this, like the production of this stuff. You could have had like a couple more characters in this. Like I mentioned that they didn't want to poke fun at like the legitimate convention goers, so just cast some fake convention goers.
Have fucking Tress MacNeille or Rob Paulson isn't in this movie, but he was there at Comic-Con, so get him in a fucking get him in like a Ninja Turtle outfit, and then that's like a little like in joke for the people or something.
Make them the stand-ins for cosplayers, and then you can like have jokes that the cosplayers are going to enjoy. Much in the same way that Tom Kenny's character is like dragging his family to all these panels. There is like you can mine some material out of this. But Mark Hamill isn't interested in sort of like, ribbing the comic book fandom community. Yeah. He wants to celebrate it and to like, preach to the choir. Like, I can't.
Tom Kenny's funny. He was on Mr. Show.
Yeah.
You can
he's the voice of SpongeBob.
You can give him shit to do. He's good. He's a comedic actor. Yeah.
But Mark Hamill is just so high on his own intention of celebrating fandom that I can't imagine the people who he's making this movie for are going to enjoy it.
That was the big question I had, because they're really, he's talking in this behind the scenes thing where it's all like, you the audience member, you're a character in this movie. And it's like, I have to imagine, look, I don't want to disparage the superfan.
Right.
There is a level of fandom that someone who goes to Comic-Con and dresses up and does cosplay, there's a level of fandom there that I personally do not share. I like things a lot. I'm a fan of certain properties. I like Ninja Turtles. I like Super Mario. I like this stuff. I've never felt compelled to go to a building with other people, even in before COVID times.
I mean, I love Superman. I love Legend of Zelda. I'm not going to wear that shit on my sleeve all the time. If you want to do that, all the power to you. Like celebrate that. That's just not for me. I dress up on Halloween. That's it.
Yeah, I have to imagine there is a certain type of viewer who would go to Comic-Con that would purchase Comic Book the movie on DVD and find it genuinely funny.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a certain person who gets something more out of this movie than you and I do. And I don't want to just... Look, if you like the movie, that's great. More power to you. We're not trying to take that away from you. It is abysmal.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
You shouldn't. But...
It's really bad. But if you like it, that's great.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Have fun with it.
Different strokes, right? So, like, a lot of shit kind of, like, comes down around this point. Mark Hamill confronts the producers for having this bastardization of Commander Courage, so they drug him and tie him to a bed.
And they leave one camera person in there to document it. Because why would this be in the documentary?
Because... documentary filmmakers can't interfere with the subject matter. They can't help somebody out. Billy West's character finds out that he should be entitled to royalties.
Yes.
So he confronts the producers about that. And because the female producer is so high-strung right now, and no one's ever, like, chewed her out for anything before, she sleeps with Billy West.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
I thought she just sucked on his finger.
No, there's a
weird way.
sequence where they escape to a bedroom together.
Okay.
She's like throwing herself at him, and there's Jess Harnell creeping in the
I
window.
remember that.
Hello, Ness.
So I'm dating someone right now, and they have cable, and as a result, I have recently gotten into a show called 90 Day Fiancé. I'm not proud of this, much like I'm not proud of the fact that I unironically watched the Nostalgia Critic back in the day.
Boy, you're watching a lot of shit these days.
My tastes are changing. I don't know what's going on.
90 Day Engagement, Comic Book the movie.
90 Day Fiancé, before the 90 days, technically.
Sure.
Look, man, dude, my biggest revelation is that TLC... they might as well just rebrand themselves as the 90 Day Network. There's so many 90 Day spin-offs. Like, you come on that show, and then you get your own spin-off show, and then your family gets your own spin-off show. Yeah. Anyway, my point is that that's like a documentary television program where the camera people are filming things they really should not be filming. There's a lot of, like, very deep, intimate shit that happens between these people on this show that I'm all like, and cut, right? Yeah. And they're gonna cut now, right? No, they're still filming. Wow, okay, cool. I guess I'm watching this deeply intimate moment between two people because I guess they signed their life away when they agreed to be on this show, and Comic Book the movie kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
I mean, I think there is like a nugget of a decent idea where people who are hired on to be like the behind-the-scenes documentary crew of a different movie uncover a bigger story.
Story behind the story,
yeah. So like there's an idea there for a movie. and that's why like they're just like letting things play out.
We thought we were making a documentary about A, but what we really discovered will blow your mind.
This really is like Mark Hamill's Heart of Darkness. So like the next day, like they're gonna have like the big panel where they announce Codename Courage to all the fans.
It's Mark Hamill's Heart of Darkness if Apocalypse Now were some bullshit movie that didn't exist.
Yeah. A fictional movie that he had to cook up.
It's it's Reign of Madness, the fake documentary they made about Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
You know, actually, speaking of like wartime films and stuff, it's just dropped on us because they were able to get these guys for the movie.
Right. Legends.
So we kind of weirdly dovetailed to an old folks home.
A scene that didn't need to be included.
But I guess they had to cook up a reason. Apparently Jackson Whitney stole the idea of Commander Courage from two wartime buddies who were played by Sid Caesar and Jonathan Winters.
An interesting plot development that goes nowhere because they immediately ignore it as soon as it's over. But this was just an opportunity to get comedy legends. You mentioned this was Sid Caesar's last on-screen appearance, which is true. He looked close to death.
For listeners who may not know who these guys are, I mean, pretty sure your parents would know, and certainly your grandparents would know. We know who these guys are because we're big fucking comedy nerds.
I'll be perfectly honest. I only kind of know who Sid Caesar is. I know who Jonathan Winters is because he was in like a lot of like movies and stuff. He was Papa Smurf, but like I kind of don't know.
Sid Caesar was in like the Show of Shows. He's probably best known for like giving a lot of younger like comedians like their start.
I imagine he was on
Mel Brooks wrote for his show.
Right. He was on like Johnny Carson and stuff, right?
Yeah.
That era. Okay, yeah. I'm not terribly familiar with that.
Yeah,
era.
he was in Mad.
I've certainly heard of Sid Caesar.
Okay, yeah.
You know, yeah.
So they're playing like the wartime buddies who like was like we were the original creators of Commander Courage, and we want to like halt this production. Probably one of my favorite bits in the movie is just like, all right, like what do you want? Like
we'll put you in the movie.
We want the leads.
We want to be the leads. Yeah,
which is like that's pretty good. But like, everything else is just like, you know, a little too racially tinged in this.
Yes, Sid Caesar does an impression of an Asian person, kind of apropos of nothing.
Jonathan Winters drops a hard R.
Oh, he does. That's right. Yes, he calls Billy West the R word. Yes, that's fun.
I mean,
different eras, different times.
Yeah.
Don't look too closely at your heroes, folks.
So that's a wrap on Sid Caesar and Jonathan Winters.
That was literally a rap on Sid Caesar.
He was just his
they put him back in his sarcophagus so he could continue.
The next appointment was at the morgue.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So whatever, like they're not going to listen to these old men, like the show must go on. So they go to this panel where the producers and Billy West, who's now like drank the Kool-Aid about, okay, well I'm just going to give away like the fucking rights to Commander Courage here. He says to the panel that it's good that this movie studio is making this movie and they're going to make all of these changes that are necessary for like modern audiences. Out with the old, in with the new, that kind of shit. And
it makes the audience shout out with the old, in with the new, like they're fucking lemmings or whatever. But most of these people are just like happy to sort of like, I'm in a room, I'm sitting down. Oh wow,
yeah.
oh.
Mark Hamill wants me to be in a movie. Sure, why not? Like all these fucking goobers who are like too busy looking at the camera and stuff.
It's all like what happened at Comic-Con? Was it great? It was all like, oh, it's cool. I got to be in the room with Stan Lee and Mark Hamill, but Mark Hamill was like pretending not to be Mark Hamill. He wouldn't answer to Mark Hamill. He made me call him Don Swan the entire time.
Don Swan breaks loose of his binds.
Just keep calling him Don Swan DeMarco.
Don Swan. Anyway, sorry. He gets the Commander Courage suit, which is truly Mark Hamill's descent into madness fully at this point, where he's now dressed as his favorite superhero, storming into Comic-Con.
It's like a weirdly flesh-colored suit, because like Commander Courage in the comics, he's kind of like a light beige, kind of like browny thing, but then they make the actual suit and he just looks like a big, chunky muscle man with a 1930s football helmet on.
He looks as strong as Michael Keaton, which they mention when they have like all the padding and the body armor, which is what they are really
which
going
it wasn't
for.
Even true. Like Mark Hamill, Don Swan in the movie says like now like all of the muscles are built into the suits. Like nobody has to like get in shape for movies. That wasn't even true at the time.
No.
Like Tobey Maguire still had to work out to be Spider-Man.
Yeah, like name a superhero movie where the guy doesn't take his shirt off.
Like Michael Keaton, I guess, is the answer to that. Michael Keaton like looks like a regular person.
Sure.
In like 1989.
Yeah.
But like as time went on, like he put on a little bulk. Like, he's got like a shirtless scene in Batman.
I think so.
He doesn't look bad.
No.
He looks fine, but, like, he looked like Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton was like a lanky dude.
Yeah. He looked a lot better than Mark Hamill did in his Commander Courage suit, which it was tailor-made for Darren Norris, who I think is like a few feet taller than Mark Hamill.
And actually kind of built like a superhero, yeah.
Yeah.
Ironically, the only person I can kind of think of whose suit was sculpted, everyone was kind of aware of the fact that he wasn't in the best shape, ironically, is Ben Affleck as Batman, but that was like 2 decades after this movie was made, so that's like the only example I can pull out of my ass.
Mm-hmm. So Mark Hamill storms the panel.
Hall H,
yeah, famous Hall H, where he is...
I'm guessing, I don't know. This was probably... They couldn't afford Hall H.
No.
This was probably Hall C.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like the convention floor of like the Holiday Inn, really. And he is just imploring to the crowd to embrace their fandom and to reject the Hollywood system, because you fans, you're the true standard bearers of these properties, because they mean so much to us, and I am you, and you are me.
They should be making movies for you. And if you don't like the movie, you should demand that they change the movie, and you should do it loudly. If only there were a public forum where everyone could put their voices together. And it's not enough that you demand they change the movie. You need to bully them. You need to and send death threats to their wives and their children. Mm-hmm. This is on you. So basically, what we're saying is Mark Hamill invented 4chan.
Yes. And harassing people on Twitter and really just like paving the way for people to write like angry letter campaigns to change the endings to Mass Effect games or whatever.
This is where it started. This is comic book is ground zero. We have Mark Hamill.
And Mark Hamill having like these very strong opinions for fictional characters carries on to this day, because hell, like, what was that huge fucking beef he had with Rian Johnson with the changes they made for Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi?
I told Ryan, I fundamentally disagree with virtually everything you've decided about my character.
He's got a lot of opinions.
He came around on that? I don't know. I haven't watched those interviews in a while.
Yeah.
And as we stated on our last episode, I'm more of a fan of Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi than I think most people are.
Yeah.
Clearly the outlier. Hot take, that movie's pretty good.
Oh, we can't have differing opinions. We can't have films that subvert expectations. You can't let filmmakers make their own properties. Like, they have to 100% honor the source material.
I'm just of the opinion that if you're going to do a sequel years later, after the fact, doesn't matter what the property is, you gotta bring the hero back down to a certain level, because the hero needs to, like, climb back up. Otherwise, it's not interesting.
Yeah.
If he is, like, Luke Skywalker, all-powerful space wizard, there's nowhere for that character to go. Mm-hmm. You need to fucking, like, send him down to the fucking basement.
Yeah.
You need Rocky Balboa, the Rocky 6, for him to kind of, like, have nothing again so he can get it back.
Yeah.
You know, it's not interesting if you don't do that.
Do you think, like, a character is going to stay consistent for 30 years in like, a sequential storyline history?
People grow, people change.
Have we changed in our 30-plus years on this earth? Yeah, absolutely. That's what people do.
I know I'm the same person I was in 2004. So.
Yeah. I mean, there's a very telling line. Is the cat blocking you?
Possibly. I don't know. If you can't hear me right now, it's because my fat cat is in the way. Come here. Very good.
There's a line that Mark Hamill says that I think is very telling, where he says, people who are more in touch with their fantasy lives pay less than they would for on therapy than people who are not in touch with their fantasy lives.
People say to me, hey Don, all those people at the cons, aren't they weird? I said, look, they are so in tune with their fantasy life. Yes. They probably spend lots less time on the therapy couch than people that aren't in tune with their fantasy. And do you know what you guys are...
Yes, Mark Hamill says that, not Don Swan. Mark Hamill, the person, says that in the behind-the-scenes footage, I think.
He says it both in the...
Oh god, yeah, that's the other thing, is that when I'm watching the behind-the-scenes footage, he just repeats lines that he says as Don Swan, so it's all like, okay, this is just Mark Hamill. This is just him as himself.
Because they have said for years, aren't those sci-fi fans kind of weird? And I say, look, they are so in touch with their fantasy life, they probably save thousands of dollars in therapy.
Well, what this is telling me is that, like, who hurt you? You know, like, who told you that, like, you're wasting your time with all these funny books? Who dumped you? You know, like, who neglected you, Mark Hamill? Because I think maybe it's okay to, like, open up about these sort of things if you have reservations, you can still enjoy your fandom, but...
I mean, he became a famous Hollywood actor at quite a young age, and as we talked about on the last episode, it didn't really pan out for him in terms of, like, movie roles, to the point where he had, like, this real dead zone where he would have contributed nothing to the culture if he had not also played the Joker and done, like, his most iconic role that he's still playing to this day.
Sure.
So, if someone hurt him... It must have been around the time he was starring in Star Wars, and probably had other things on his mind at that time. Like starring on The Muppet Show and shit like that. So, like, I don't know necessarily if I agree with that assessment.
Okay.
But it's interesting to think.
I don't know. Just seeing, Hollywood icon Mark Hamill in a superhero costume that he made himself in a movie he's directing himself.
There's no one else to blame for this.
Kidnapping a bunch of people inside of a convention hall and just screaming about, like, appreciating your fandom and railing against the Hollywood system.
Again, it's the exact same shit that Doug Walker used to do.
Yeah.
And it's a bad look, Mark Hamill.
It is
It's a bad fucking look.
So the convention goers, because they have the memory of goldfishes, they're like, yeah, now we're changing our opinion because Mark Hamill spoke last. So
they hate the movie. They hate the new movie.
Yeah, and so the people, like the Hollywood people, they fire Mark Hamill. He says the line, "You can't fire the human spirit," and the movie ends. Well, the movie ends, but then the credits roll. And then we were jumped back into the movie where we find out through the epilogue that Billy West's character is now collecting royalties and he's mega rich now, which we understand because he's sitting at the bottom of a staircase eating pie. And he says, okay, I bought the movie studio and I'm bringing on Don Swan as like the creative consultant.
And he's fired the mean people.
Yeah.
And so now Don Swan is in charge of the movie.
And
Yay! What a good lesson for us to learn.
If you whine enough, you're going to get what you want.
Sure. Or I guess if you're, like, entitled by ancestry to a fuckload of money, you can do whatever you want. I guess that's the moral of this story.
Sure.
No rich people.
Mm-hmm. And that's Comic Book the Movie, ladies and gents.
So, Jeff, technically, I feel like you should be asking me the question.
Well, I mean, is there anything you wanted to bring up that we didn't cover?
I took so few notes while watching this, just because there wasn't anything to write down, and also I was dying on the inside.
Oh yeah, you were a grumpy Gus during
Look, all I'm going to say, Jameson...
You were so angry. It was very unfocused anger, because at one point you just dropped, oh, good, there's Joss Whedon. That was not Joss Whedon.
I know.
That was J.J. Abrams.
Dude, I was being ironic.
Okay,
I was being a funny man. I know what J.J. Abrams looks like.
Fine. I didn't want to say anything. I was doing a goof.
And I didn't say it like that. I said like, oh, look, there's Joss Whedon. I was being clever. Okay. You have been trying for us to do an episode on this for a while.
Yep.
Do you feel fulfilled?
Yes.
Was your goal to make me suffer?
Yes.
Because it worked.
Yep.
There we go.
This is your Argento's Dracula. This is The Telephone. This is your Dracula 3000. I didn't even want to watch just another wrestling romantic comedy or whatever the fuck that was.
Hey man, I wouldn't have known that shit existed if you didn't show me that trailer. So that's somewhat on you.
All right, fine.
All right.
We'll share the blame on this.
Jameson, ask the question.
Well, I mean, the other thing I wanted to mention, we didn't even mention the character of Papaya Smith.
Yeah, played by Donna D'Errico, who's from Baywatch or something.
Yeah, who's like a friend of the producer.
Because she shows up late or whatever.
She is just like this model stand-in for the Liberty Lass, who is like the reinvented Liberty Lad sidekick. Yeah. She's just in a skin tight suit for all the loser men to ogle at.
There's like kind of a funny thing where like her and Darren Norris at the party is like, I can be I'm an actor. I'm an actor too. I can be a beaver. I can be an orangutan. And then they just do like animal noises or whatever.
Yeah,
and then Lori Allen comes in and is all like, you're fired. And is all like, weren't you like her friend from college or whatever?
Yeah, they really didn't know what to do with this character. I mean, there's a little clever bit of improv on her part where like she's having a scene with one of the producers and then they have to stop because there's an actual PA announcement going on, and it ends with her just, in lieu of cutting, they keep rolling, and she just goes, oh, that wasn't for us.
That wasn't for us, yeah.
I think you should act like you're not a host, because, you are Liberty Last. Don't act host, act actress. And you'll be the anti-host.
May I have your attention,
Wait with tension.
please? Brian Edwards and Ryan Pearson. Brian Edwards and Ryan...
That was the best version of that scene.
Yeah. So probably like a funnier improv actress than they realized, and they gave her a bullshit character to play.
Yeah, there we go. We've mentioned her now. We've now mentioned everyone in the movie.
Okay, well, in lieu of like, if you have anything else you want to talk about?
Absolutely.
Does this movie have a certain something, or is just a whole lot of nothing?
Oh, okay. There is one thing that
Oh.
I wanted to mention is that this movie's a whole lot of nothing. This movie's a whole lot of nothing. It's
Agreed.
surprising. There's a very brief scene where Don Swan is in the producer's office or whatever, and he talks to a secretary, and it's just like, "Can I get you anything?" It's like, "I'd love a glass of water," and she leaves. Do you know who that was?
No.
That was Arlene Sorkin, the voice of Harley Quinn.
Oh.
So we got the Joker and we got the Harley Quinn in a scene, and Mark Hamill couldn't think of a single fucking thing to do with her. She's just
Wow.
a secretary that goes to get him a glass of water and never comes back. And it's all like, really, Mark? You couldn't think of anything for Harley Quinn to do in your movie that you directed?
You have been scene partners for decades
You
at
have
this point.
such great chemistry
And
together, and
I-
you do nothing.
I know for a fact that they do those recordings for those DC shows like a radio play where all the actors are in like the room together.
Mm-hmm.
So they've obviously had scenes together in person. Wow.
What a missed opportunity.
What a miss.
You should have give her like one of the lead roles in the movie. Let her be the
Liberty Lass.
Liberty Lass
Yeah.
convention
or,
lady
or
or
get
whatever.
Tara Strong because she's
Tara Strong, not in this movie.
Yeah.
Again, a weird kind of boys club type mentality. Again, I don't know. Maybe Tara Strong was busy. Maybe E.G. Daily was busy. Who
Maybe
knows?
he pitched it to her and she said, "No, that sounds stupid."
I
and creepy."
got, yes. I've done literally everything in this business, and I will not do this.
Yeah.
No, sorry, Mark. No,
Yeah. This is awful.
this is a waste of time.
Yeah, and it really tarnishes Mark Hamill's image in my mind.
I used to like Mark Hamill, and now I am all like,
He's a
I
little.
think I still like Mark Hamill.
Yes, he wears his heart on his sleeve. This guy, I just think he's a bit much at this
Yeah,
point.
I think I like Mark
and
Hamill.
I think this is a bad idea on his
Yes, I still think I like Mark Hamill as an actor, and he seems like an okay guy. I don't know if I ever need to meet him in person.
part. Mm-hmm.
This movie feels like I've spent an afternoon. It feels like I spent an entire weekend with Mark Hamill,
Mhm.
and if he were to call me up and say, "Kaz, you want to hang out?" I'd probably be all like, "I got some other stuff."
Who else is going to be there?
Yeah. Who do you want to? It's like, well, Kevin Smith can come, and I'd be like,
Jess Harnell.
I'm being facetious, of course. I would hang out with these people at the drop of a hat. So I'm like, yeah. Do you want me to be? I have no scruples. I'd be in Comic Book the movie. I'm like I would feel a little sheepish about it, but like fucking whatever. I like being in shit.
I can make some bullshit up about how much
Yeah.
I like Commander Courage.
Exactly.
Like, why not? Yeah? I'll hang out at the Playboy Mansion, sure.
I mean, it would be depressing to hang out at the Playboy Mansion now. Is that even still? Can you go there? Is that a thing?
I don't know, it's
Is
not
it like a mausoleum? Is it like Graceland?
Is it like Disney World? Like, I don't know.
Who runs it now?
I don't know. The publisher? It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh god, it would just be.
Is it like a historical landmark now? I don't fucking know. It should probably be bulldozed.
Is it just like there's like a handful of like dead-eyed bunnies just like walking around and like no one bothered to tell them that they could leave, and they're just like one of them is just like, Hef likes his coffee like this, ha ha, and it's all like actually ma'am is all like, no, don't tell her she'll cry for days.
I see.
Yeah, she's living in her thing. Yeah.
Maybe they'll turn it into like a boarding school or something.
It's like there's like one bunny left, and she's like Miss Havisham from fucking Great Expectations. She's still in the fucking like wedding dress, but she has the ears and the tail on.
I was thinking of like the Bates Motel. Like there's Hef's corpse like kind of dressed up in the smoking jacket and everything.
He still has the pipe in the hand.
We have guests today. Hef.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Well, that was Comic Book the movie
It
from
certainly was.
2004, directed by Mark Hamill. If you enjoyed this episode, please listen to more. Listen to our last podcast, The Fuck Is This? It's all available on Spotify and YouTube. If you're listening to this show on YouTube, you can check us out on Spotify. You can watch the back and forth. You know the deal by now.
Yeah.
If you don't, listen to an earlier
We're so
episode.
done.
I do this a lot better than whatnot. Our opening theme music, of course, is done by the great Eddie Lamb. You can check out his shit on TikTok and Bandcamp. I believe he's also on that. And next episode, we will be concluding our trilogy. It will be the end of the saga. It will be our Return of the Jedi, so to speak.
It's funny that like knowing Mark Hamill's credits, we're not covering an animated movie. This is the closest we're going to get, considering all the voice actors are in it.
Yeah. We can talk about that a little bit more. It's kind of hard to find like an animated movie that he's part of that isn't like somewhat well known,
or part of like some like toy franchise or whatever.
Look, we could cover an animated movie that Mark Hamill's in. He'll be in it for maybe 2 minutes. Is the thing.
Oh, that NASA one, that educational video, Quantum Quest.
Yeah, I said we would talk about that. I didn't have time to look that up. That's like a whole thing.
It's not even coming out until like the fucking summertime.
It's been released in like IMAX theaters.
Yeah,
and it's only just now being released on streaming. This is like something that like it's like a whole story. We're at the end of the podcast. Yeah. We can't get into Quantum Quest now.
Well, we're not watching Quantum Quest because we can't watch Quantum Quest.
No, we're not. What we're watching instead is, well, we watched Comic Book the movie, and we saw Mark Hamill portray a character who very easily, if he was pushed in the right direction, could end up being a psychopathic serial killer. So what we are doing instead is we are watching a movie where Mark Hamill literally plays a psychopathic serial killer. We are watching Midnight Ride. Mm-hmm. And we'll tell you about that next week, because there's not much. So it's Mark Hamill and inexplicably screen legend Robert Mitchum is also buried in the cast of this movie. Mm-hmm. But that was this episode on Nothing Movies. I'm Kaz.
And I'm Jameson.
And...
May the Force be with you.
Hello, check, 1, 2.
Check 1, 2, check what? Check
what?
Check what?
Check what?
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Okay, hold on. Yeah. Oh, God.
Are you checking yourself?
Oh, God. Jameson.
Yes?
I wrecked myself.
Oh, God. How? In what way?
Every way.
Oh, no.
Every orifice has been wrecked.
Oh, so someone had a good night.
I had a good
someone
night.
had a good date night.
I had a pretty good night. I'm basically that was me bragging. Yeah. Remember when I said...
That's why you gave me that text that said Bone City. That's a Scrubs reference, kids.
I don't remember that. Where the hell is my page where I wrote down the intro to our podcast that I say that I haven't gotten memorized?
You haven't memorized it yet?
What am I, an actor? What am I, a professional actor who's done this before?
You tell me.
This is all going in at the end of the episode.
As far as I know, your only credits are that Shakespeare thing I saw you in,
yep,
the cartoon I made of you,
yep,
and Napoleon in Legends of Tomorrow.
And a Hallmark movie.
And a Hallmark movie.
And a video game that no one has played.
How could I forget the Hallmark movie? I'm sorry, Cass.
We've only brought it up every other episode.